I've been seeing a lot of people talk about how PTSD and autism can have a lot of similar symptoms. So I want to talk about my experience. When I first started therapy a little bit over 3.5 years ago, the first diagnosis that I got was ADHD. So that confirmed that I was neurodivergent, right? And at this moment, I brought up to my therapist that I thought that I may have also been autistic, but at that time she was like, right now I don't think like you're autistic. She's like, it seems like maybe you just, because of the way that I grew up, I was not socialized properly, didn't have good models for that basically. And I had felt like I had improved socially over the last couple years as I had started working. So at that time we just like brushed off the autism. We didn't think too much about it. The ADHD was already enough to address some things that I knew about myself at the time, right? And so over the next couple years, I had done a lot of work to heal through a lot of my anxiety and depressive symptoms. So it was ADHD, I had anxiety and depressive symptoms, and I also had PTSD symptoms. I was having flashbacks to my childhood trauma like almost constantly. I was never living in the moment, and it kept me very hypervigilant. And so just a lot of healing, right? So basically, I didn't have the same depressive and anxiety and PTSD symptoms that I had before. Like my therapist said that she was able to document my what's the word? My improvement. Yet I was still struggling in a lot of areas. I was struggling with burnout and working and being able to maintain anything else outside of working, even when I was only working part time. And it was at this point she brought up to me, I think if we were to assess you, you know, like we could assess you for autism if you wanted to, because basically she was saying, well, now that we've worked through these symptoms that can probably mimic this, which I mean, at least that's what I'm thinking now, because of how people are saying, like, yeah, a lot of CPTSD symptoms can also look like autism. I think that's what she noticed, is that all of those symptoms eased up, but I was still struggling in these other ways, which let her know that it wasn't a matter of things that I could heal out of. It was a matter of like, this is how you are. I think that's really interesting. And so a lot of people, get really discouraged on the journey. Um, Advocate for yourself, number one, but like in my case, I had a really good therapist. I have a really good therapist, and she specifically specializes in neurodivergence. But even in my case is, I think, a little bit more complex and less direct because I am so high masking. Even whenever they tested me for ADHD, for example, I tested outside of the bell curve. I tested as if I didn't have ADHD while having very obvious symptoms of ADHD, which like isn't super common, but it happens. And so in that case, she diagnosed me based on not the test itself, right? And that's also part of why it took so long, like to get through all the layers of the other healing I needed to do. We needed to get through all of that to determine whether or not it was autism.